Retweet. We're live, by the way, but I don't
Excellent.
care. Yes, you hear voices, Scott. Okay, this week we saw Kick-Ass 2.
Yes, we did.
Um, Chris, go ahead and do your rundown.
All right. So, essentially, if you haven't seen the first Kick-Ass, to sum it up very quickly, it's a movie about a boy who reads comic books. It's set in modern day society. So, it is a superhero movie, but it's just a regular sort of New
It's a
York City.
realistic-ish.
Yeah. And a young boy who's a comic book fan decides he wants to do good in the world, dresses up to be a superhero, meets up with another girl who is also a superhero, and together they fight crime and manage to show that regular people can become superheroes. And that's essentially Kick Ass 1.
Sure.
Kick Ass 2 continues the story with those characters. However, it then kind of focuses on a new aspect of the story that to say humans do become superheroes, that regular citizens become it, how do they deal with the ramifications and responsibilities that come with being a superhero, that come with having sort of this ego, that come with having this mission of justice, that come with creating enemies and creating a presence for yourself that is independent of the police. How do you deal with all those things and struggle with what side of the coin, your mask side or your human side, are you really what are you, Bruce Wayne, or are you Batman, that sort of thing. And that's essentially the story in this one. Kick-Ass joins up. More people are inspired to become superheroes based off of his actions in the first one, including Colonel
Stars and
Stars and
Stripes.
Stripes, played by Jim Carrey. And his actions in the first movie also created the world's first supervillain, Motherfucker, played by what's his name?
Some douchey kid.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse plays the kid from Superbad.
Yep.
So that's a basic rundown of Kick-Ass 2 without getting into spoilers.
Yeah. And this movie does not come without heat either, because Jim Carrey didn't promote this movie at all. Uh, After he saw the screening of it, he immediately pulled his backing from this movie. Uh, Due to he recorded this movie before the what is it, Shady Hook,
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook, Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook shootings,
Hmm.
and he saw it just after the shootings. And there's this one scene in it, mild spoilers. It's not really going to give anything away, but there's one character named Mother Russia is throwing propane tanks at cops, or killing cops, and that's the scene that literally made him stop promoting this movie. So this movie does come with its little bit of controversy. We'll probably get into if it's valid or not in the let's spoil the shit out of this movie segment of this show. But I didn't have fun with this movie. I didn't think it. I don't think it had the charm that the first one did. I literally, yeah, I'm not gonna side with Jim Carrey on it, but I do think it was just overly silly and violent just for the sake of violence. I did not feel for this movie. I mean, if you liked the first one and you wanted more of what happened in the first one, you'll probably love this movie. I'm not gonna look down at the people who would like this movie. I don't care. It's just not my cup of tea.
I sincerely dug this movie. I don't like it as good as the first Kick-Ass, but I still found a lot of the same things I liked in the first Kick-Ass are present here. Um, I do think that this is a darker movie than the first Kick-Ass, but it's somewhat necessary based on the fact that it's trying to tell. Basically, this is the second act of an ongoing story, and the second act is usually the darkest act in a series because that's when the tragedy has to befall the main character. So, I mean, not to get into spoilers, but bad things happen to Kick-Ass Hit Girl and those around them. And, that's them dealing with the consequences of trying to create a superhero world in a world that,
Well,
is normal society.
they they try to make it darker, and it does have a couple of darker scenes in it, but it's surrounded by just stupid shit that take away from it for me.
I didn't find as much stupid shit. There's only one point in the movie where I 2 points.
Everything that happens with Hit Girl up until the end is stupid shit.
I liked the premise of Hit Girl's side story. I did not like how it was actually done in the movie at all.
Hmm.
That was because it's weird. The movie inspired by comic book, or a movie based on a comic book that is inspired by other comic books, managed to create a character too comic booky for me to believe. Like she was like, it basically involves this high school girl who is so like insidiously super catty bitchy high school that I couldn't possibly fathom someone like that existing in the real world. Like, I can understand someone like Kick-Ass existing in the real world. A kid who really wants to see justice done in the world, who is directionless and wants to see someone rise up and do good, deciding to go out there and do it. But this girl who's just so, like, vindictive and evil
Well,
and
yeah,
does, like,
like
this long speech about how she's going to one day grow up and marry a hot guy and vacation in Paris, is fucking her, fucking all these other things. It's just weird.
the boy. Okay, there's one scene. This isn't spoilers, but I'll just call it the. No, I actually am not going to say that because it does set something up. Never mind. Wait till spoilers and I'll bring it up. I was gonna go the whole boyfriend thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which does set up a spoiler. So I'll bring that up in the spoiler segment, I guess. But they did that okay. Because I believe him doing that, because that shit happens.
Yeah.
But as far as the female a part of this whole thing, just yeah, she is overblown.
Like, I get her in concept.
Hmm.
I mean, mean girls do exist, and maybe I just, coming from a Catholic high school, maybe I just don't understand the
No,
length of which that girls are kind of super bitches in other schools, but
not in my school. When I was a kid, there was nothing like that.
it's just one of those things. You're just like, this just feels too weird for me to buy into this. But I like the story they try to tell with Hit Girl. Honestly, I feel like
It goes nowhere.
They could
in
take
my
most
mind.
of Hit Girl's story out, and this movie would probably be better for it. But I think they were kind of. I haven't read Kick-Ass 2. I've only just started reading Kick-Ass 1, so I don't know how Kick-Ass 2 and this follow directly. But it feels like they were trying to follow basically the plot of the comics a little too closely, and I feel like the movie might have been better if it pulled the Hit Girl stuff out and maybe focused a bit more on establishing the relationship between Kick-Ass and Captain Stars and Stripes and the rest of Justice Forever,
Hmm.
as opposed to putting time in for her story.
They really underutilize Jim Carrey in this movie.
Yeah, we can't get too much into it without getting into some spoilers, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Well,
he's
that's why
not,
that's why I kept it right there. That's it. They underutilize him. He doesn't do a whole lot.
he doesn't get to be as impressive as you'd hope he would be.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't play a character you think Jim Carrey would play, in my mind. He's not playing, the normal goofy Jim Carrey type of character. I know he does some dramatic roles and shit like that, but I just didn't see him as this role. Outside of one line, which you've all already seen.
There goes the dog on your balls. Yeah.
That's the only part that you're looking at going, okay, that Jim Carrey, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, no. He's he plays this pretty straight, I think.
Yeah.
So it was a slight disappointment there. But overall, I like I said, I find this movie a disappointment. I'm probably just being hard on it, just to be hard on it, I guess. But I just didn't have fun with it. I honestly, if you want to go into ratings, I'm giving this one a flat C.
That's fair enough. I'm gonna give this one. If you want my honest opinion, I'll give it an A minus. I want to give it a B plus, but I'm gonna be cheap and give it an A minus because that's what I honestly felt like coming out of the theater. I felt like it was a really good film. It has
We are polar opposites this week, aren't we?
I know. This is the first week we're really gonna
Yeah.
go at it. There's things to this movie that I didn't like, and there are things, part of it may just be I just saw Kick-Ass this past week, so maybe some of that's also bleeding into this, that I just really liked Kick-Ass, and that's kind of flowing into it. But I really did like some of the things they did in this movie. I like some of the small touches. I like the characters in this.
There were a small couple. I know we'll get into them in spoilers, but there
Yes.
were a couple of small ones, especially with Hit Girl, that I really liked.
Mhm.
You can probably already think of the one I'm talking about. But yeah, there were some things that I liked about it. It's just if I'm weighing good versus bad, it just it fell flat for me, and there was too many bad things over too many good things. And I'll I think we'll definitely get into things we liked and things we did not like about this movie. Definitely in the spoiler portion of this.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you want to get into spoilers?
yeah, okay. If you don't want to get Kick-Ass 2 completely spoiled for you, get the hell out of here. If you don't give a shit, stay along because we're probably gonna bitch a little while on this movie. Um, let's see. Okay, since it's fresh in my mind right now, the one part that I liked is I liked how she always made 2 cups of coffee or 2 cups of
Coco.
cocoa.
Hmm.
I liked that. I was like, because I didn't think they'd do it. I think that, I thought they would forget about it or something like that. But no, they remembered it. So I was like, yay.
I like that. I like what Justice Forever is. It's basically this group of group of people who have all been inspired by Kick-Ass to start, and it's made up of a very eclectic group of individuals. There's Remembering Tommy, which is a mother and father group who have started doing this because their son was
abducted.
kidnapped
Yeah.
and killed, and no one ever really went looking for him. So they've started going vigilante because of it. There's Insect Man, who is an out of the closet gentleman who started crime fighting and refuses to wear a mask because he says
Feels like he's back in the closet.
Yeah, it feels like he's just putting himself back in the closet. Night Bitch, who's I believe it's her sister, was found dead in a dumpster.
Yeah.
It's this group of people that all have compelling stories to them. They don't get a tremendous amount of focus, but there's small enough, nice little touches to each of them that they it felt like the Justice Forever group was a very likable cast. And there's some small things they all get to do throughout the movie that makes them very enjoyable and feels like good little touches. One of them, and this is going to be a huge, huge spoiler. If you have not seen the movie, once again, leave now because I'm about to spoil probably one of the bigger things of the movie. Is that after Captain Stars and Stripes dies, and they're doing the big battle at the end, you can actually see Remembering Tommy are actually using his bat to fight in the battle with. And I like that so much. It's like a really small little touch. They didn't focus on it. They just put it in there, and I love that little bit there. It was such a cool little bit that showed that this group actually had a lot of respect for Captain Stars and Stripes. And that was probably my favorite part of the movie is when they actually do that that heist of the poker game and save all those the sex trafficking ring.
Yeah.
And they save the girls. I love that scene. It was such a cool heroic moment for the movie.
Yeah, but this movie does not have that many moments like that, and that's what kills it for me.
Well, the problem is that once you finish that scene, you have to then go on a very long, dark train of the rest of this movie making things really bad for everybody else. Following that is basically when Captain Stars and Stripes dies. The movie goes on a little bit more. Hit Girl no longer fights crime. She's retiring from it at the behest of her stepfather, or foster father rather. Kick-Ass's dad gets killed. His funeral gets attacked and blown up. Night Bitch gets attacked. Like, all these horrible things are happening in a row, and it's really heavy stuff. But it's also kind of for the purpose of the movie of trying to show the consequences of these people trying to create a world of superheroes. And it ultimately comes to a conclusion at the very end of the movie where everyone else has basically made a decision to say, we're not going to be superheroes anymore. This is something we have to put away. Only Kick-Ass really has remained as the only superhero. And we've seen one of the characters who we've met before, Professor Radical or Dr. Gravity, sorry, played by Turk from Scrubs. We see that he was going through the entire movie with a baseball bat covered in tinfoil, and he's dropped the costume at the end of it, sees a crime happen. They say the world doesn't need superheroes; it just needs heroes. And we see him running after a purse snatcher, and that's like sort of the point this movie's trying to make. That although the concept of superheroes going out and doing good in the world is a great thing, it's also a dangerous thing because you're trying to you're deluding yourself, and you're creating a dangerous world by doing this as well. So I get it for the purpose of what they're trying to get across. And I think it makes a point of being the Act 2 to an overall 3-act story if there is a Kick-Ass 3. I know there's
going to be a Kick-Ass 3. I mean, we got Hit Girl on the run. We got the uncle still in jail, who I'm really hoping for. That was probably the most disappointing thing to this whole fucking movie. That they never used any more of them.
Yeah.
He was there for that one amazing scene. He's like, "Do you want to see evil?" And he makes his buddy call out and hands him the
John.
phone.
Yeah.
And then they just fucking stab his butler in the car, and all you hear him is gurgling. And I'm like, "That's evil!"
It was very evil. Poor John Leguizamo. It was a
But
very cool scene because it was also
that was an amazing scene.
yeah, it works as the catalyst to give motherfucker his motivation to actually go into evil.
No, it doesn't to me. No, it doesn't. It just makes motherfucker look like a piece of shit.
Well, what it should have done is actually made motherfucker a more serious villain, but the problem is that he's still too goofy by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He's still too much like, oh, get everybody frappuccinos, and hold on, is my shark in the right tank? Is it supposed to be salt water? Like, he's too goofy by the end of it. Like, he could be really intimidating, but he never becomes truly intimidating by the end of the movie.
I want the uncle as a villain. I don't want motherfucker. He was stupid. It annoyed the shit out of me. Nothing he did was really scary or fucking like, we have to get this guy off the streets. Because I don't think any of his plans could ever be competent. I mean, yeah, he's got all these things that he wants to do and the things that he does. Without his fucking group, he's fucking screwed. I mean, the whole ending fight scene was completely unbelievable to me because I think literally Kick-Ass does know how to fight. So the minute he goes after motherfucker, I literally think that should have been a two-shot and bam, the kid's out.
Well, remember, motherfucker was trained.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he learned from his dad back in Kick-Ass 1. They had a fight.
Yeah, but before then he wasn't trained. Kick-Ass wasn't trained. He trained for what, 4 months with Hit Girl in this movie? Kick-Ass should have been more than ready to fucking beat the shit out of this kid.
He probably should have, but I mean, for the sake of the big fight scene, I guess what are you gonna do?
I also called the adrenaline rush the minute that scene the first scene happened with the shots.
Yeah, I kind of got that. I was like, what? She's giving like, why wouldn't you just, I mean, if you're using it as you think you're going to die, why wouldn't you just, if it's a medicine that you inject people with and it kills them, why not just use it all the time? I mean, you're already throwing shurikens around. If it was a deadly poison, you'd think you'd be like more on the ball about using it.
Yeah, I lean over to my buddy and I go, "It's adrenaline." And he's like, "What
I
are you
did
talking-"
like the scene though with her and Mother Russia. I thought that was.
I thought it was fun.
Scene.
Yeah,
had a cool ending. I like the entire, outside of the Kick-Ass and motherfucker fight. I like the way they presented the final ending. I like the Gondor calls moment of, just two against an army, and they're like, no, we got some friends, and everybody shows up there.
Was that a feel-good moment for you, Chris?
It was a feel-good moment. It was a really cool moment. I like the
heroic. It was lame for me.
I like the heroic moments in this movie. Like that's me loving comics and manga too much. Where I
like comics too. I'm just jaded, I guess, or something. I don't know.
You're just joyless. You hate fun and joy.
No, I just hate this movie. But I don't know. I'm glad they took the rape scene out.
Yeah.
I am 150,000 because I brutally hate this movie if they kept it in. I really, really hate this movie. To reference what we're talking about, there's a scene where they, his group of assholes, motherfuckers group of assholes, go after Night Bitch because she's in a relationship-esque with Kick-Ass, and they attack her home, and he's going to rape her, but he can't get it up, so they just beat her ass instead. But in the books, he actually does rape her. And it's one thing I am 100% glad they did not keep in this movie.
Yeah.
It
seems like the movies have actually made a lot of improvements on the books thus far from what I've read. I haven't gotten incredibly far into it, but from what I've read, I definitely enjoyed the movie more of what I've seen and what it...
For Kick-Ass 1, because you haven't gotten into Kick-Ass 2 yet.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to Kick-Ass 2 yet.
But yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't like this movie.
I think to elaborate on what I said before, what I would have liked, because half of this movie is based on Hit Girl basically trying to get away from her former, life, or I guess what was her name? Sally, Samantha.
Mindy.
Mindy trying to get away from her life as Hit Girl at the request of her foster father. She tries to live a normal life as a high school girl, finds herself in a catty, bitchy relationship with some girls, finds herself, embarrassed and bullied, and eventually realizes that Hit Girl is who she really is, and she can't help that. And that's, for better or for worse, that's
Oh,
who she's
that's
always going to be.
from the Genki. That makes it even worse if they have that, because I thought they'd used a rape scene just to get to kick ass in the comic book. That's why they justify it. But apparently, she doesn't even like him in the book, so they just have it in there just to have it, I guess.
Classy.
Yeah, exactly.
But what was I? So that's like the second. That's sort of like the B story to this movie. And what I would rather if they kind of pulled that away and instead put more focus on Kick-Ass and having him in like his new mentor-student relationship with Colonel Stars and Stripes.
Hmm.
Because Jim Carrey is only in this movie for probably about 40 minutes to a half hour. He's really not in this movie a tremendous amount. And when he's in it, he's actually pretty cool. He's
I
not
like
to,
him. I like him. We don't use the Lord's name. Oh, by the way, he plays a hitman, come born again Christian. So he's a good guy that won't use excessive violence. Like, he beats people up with a bat, but he never he has a point that he has a gun, but he doesn't have, but it's not loaded.
Yeah, it's only there to scare people.
And he has morals, he has values, he's a very good character. I just like the whole thing. Just don't use the Lord's name in vain and shit like that. He's a fun character, and he's just gone.
Yeah, he really is sort of the highlight of the film at the start of it because he's so much fun. He has such a great attitude towards things. Like, remember, have fun, because what's the point if you don't?
Yeah.
Like, it's cool things that really make him a really likable character at the start of it. And I'll admit that makes his death very sad. But the problem is that his death happens about partway through the movie, and then a little bit later, then they kill off Kick-Ass's dad. So he then has to deal with two deaths. And by the end of it, outside of the bat being held up in a brief mention, you almost kind of forget Captain or Colonel Stars and Stripes. Is he Captain or Colonel Stars and Stripes?
I just call him Stars and Stripes.
Anyway, Stars and Stripes. By the end of it, he's dead.
Yeah, that's
how Colonel Stars and Stripes.
They have him marked as Stars and Stripes in the IMDb.
Yeah, and that's what's sort of tough.
Oh,
because,
Colonel. Okay.
Yeah, Colonel Stars and Stripes. But it would have worked one or the other. I think either one of these characters dying, either Colonel Stars and Stripes or the father, would have been enough to give Kick-Ass's motivation for a final conflict.
I think it would have been the father
would kind of weight it down.
The father definitely, because with the last scene that he has with his father is the whole nobody will miss you when you die.
Yeah,
thing.
It's a whole big cats in the cradle sort of scene.
And then he actually dies and shit like that. That's, I think, would have been more effective than Colonel Star Stripes going down. But I think they just killed him off because he's killed off in the book. But I just think they very underutilized him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with how he was killed off or anything like that. Again, it makes sense.
I'm glad they didn't kill the dog, though.
Yeah, well, I even like that.
I would have been mad.
Being like, I'm not that evil.
Yeah.
But, no, Kick-Ass's dad being killed actually almost got me to tear up. Right?
Oh, Chris.
It hit that sweet spot of being, oh, my God, he's a good dad, and he's dead. And then they all show up to his funeral.
It's so telegraphed, though.
It's telegraphed.
You should have. Did you know it was coming? Did you know it was coming?
The moment when he says there are people out there trying to kill me, and he's like, well, there are police here that'll protect me. Yeah, that's the moment I was like, oh, something bad's going to happen to this guy.
Geeky says don't read the books then.
Yeah. Well, I'll read them at some point probably. Yeah, it is a sad movie because you do have to get through all that stuff. It does have.
I don't know how. This is sad for you.
It hits my sweet.
It's so, I know.
I have a thing with dads and grandfathers in media that, like, when they die, I get fucking hit by it way harder than I should.
Or boats.
Or boats. Yeah. Well, One Piece had a really sad boat.
A boat death.
You don't understand, Randy. It took them so far.
I don't care. It's a fucking boat.
It was so happy, Randy. The boat was happy when it died.
It's a boat.
It died with a smile.
A boat can't smile, Chris.
Yeah, shut up.
But, oh, Mittens, I'm sorry.
You said a boat died. You say what boat?
I think she knows. But, Let's see. Anything about this movie? What else about this movie? What else about this movie?
The score in the movie isn't as good as the first
Oh
one.
fuck no, it ain't.
It is done by the same people, so there is, you do hear the jetpack theme, as many people hear to it, remixed in this movie, and it does get a few cool moments in there, but it's not as cool as the first movie soundtrack, which I think, again, is there to kind of reflect that this isn't as a,
It,
heroically inspiring movie. This is more the realistic, well, quote unquote, realistic after effects of people trying to become costume heroes and being successful at it, unlike the Rain City superhero team. No offense to Phoenix Jones if he's listening. I'm sure you beating up bar fight patrons with tasers to the back has really cleaned up the mean streets of Seattle.
Sure. I don't know what the falls. I don't know what the walls of the wall, but the Kick-Ass book was not as good as the movie.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I've gotten from
Yeah.
reading.
I don't like I said
Performances?
I
Any performances that particularly struck you as good or bad?
I thought everybody did alright. I thought Hit Girl was lacking this year or this time. She was really good in the first one. I just don't see her acting chops grew well with her.
Yeah,
she looked really goofy in some scenes where she's like trying to smile or she's trying to put an emotion on her face, and you see her. She's actually trying. You can actually see her trying to put an emotion on.
It's that weird smile she has in a lot of the promotional art that really bothers me.
But she did amazing in the first one.
Well, I think problem with this is that her characters had to get fleshed out so much more in this movie. Because in the first movie, her character was just, I'm this badass girl, but I've got the sweet side because of my daddy, and now he's gone, so, now I have to deal with that. And now in this movie, they had to explore, like, well, now I want to be a regular little girl, and now I'm running into this idea of romance and all these different things going on. So, I can't say enough. I haven't seen enough stuff with Chloe Moretz in it.
She apparently attacked Jim Carrey.
Did she?
Not verbally attacked him after him coming out about not promoting this movie. She ended up saying things like, well, then how are you going to support other movies that happen after tragedy? You just got to put the things aside and shit like that and be able to enjoy a movie or something.
I mean, honestly, I agree with that sentiment. I think it's kind of like, this is not a movie where I'd be like, oh, but that was just in bad taste. There's nothing in this movie that I was like, oh, well,
that's why I said if they did the rape scene, that would have. Rape scenes in movies are very hard for me if they're worth it or not. Like Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, it's a horrible scene, but I like it there, I guess you could say, because it has a meaning, it has consequences, it gets justified throughout the whole thing. If it would have happened here, it would have just been there for almost
a villainous motivator.
Yeah, just for laughs basically, because of the whole thing or how it goes down. I can't take this movie seriously. That's why like the scenes that affected you don't affect me. It tries to be dark and fails at it in my eyes, just because all these dark scenes are just surrounded by goofy shit that doesn't need to be there. But yeah, I like Kick-Ass 1. I love Kick-Ass 1. Kick-Ass 2 just fell completely short for me.
I still like it a lot. I can see where you're going with it. I guess Kick-Ass just strikes the right chords for me. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch, and I think if you didn't like the first Kick-Ass, then you're not going to like Kick-Ass 2 by any stretch, and there are a lot of people like Randy who are going to like Kick-Ass 1 and not like Kick-Ass 2. But I still think Kick-Ass 2 gets a lot of the spirit of the first one right. I think Kick-Ass, in general, is still a very likable character. Some of his points as, what's his character's name? Dave Luzewski, can be kind of douchey, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense since he's a hormonally fused teenager at this point.
Hmm.
So it kind of makes sense when he does say, "To be anyone, Dad, no one's gonna remember you." Like when he says shitty shit like that, you're like, well, I guess that's kind of the fucking shit all teenagers do when they're grumpy and
Oh yeah, when they're
whiny
all
and shit.
frumpy.
Yeah. So, overall, I like almost all the performances in the movie. I don't think anyone's particularly bad. Again, John Leguizamo's in this movie.
I don't know why.
He's in this movie.
He's in it. That's it. He's just in it.
It's interesting he's there, but I liked everyone in the movie. I like that they even constantly reference the fact that every time motherfucker comes up with a name, it's horribly insensitive and stereotyped. He's like,
Mother Russia.
I will call you the Black Death. He's like, yo, man, isn't that really racist? How about Genghis Carnage? Like, you gotta stop with these names, stereotypes. It's like, no, archetypes. And the movie is going to have some pretty funny moments. The only point in the movie where I really thought it was too stupid and silly was with the diarrhea machine. Where it's like, I point this at you, and you start vomiting and shitting yourself furiously. That was the one moment I was just like, seriously?
You ever heard of the brown noise?
Yeah, the brown note.
Yeah, that's actually real.
I know it is real. It was just the machine. And, like, the graphics of it just made it look...
I mean, I can make you shit and vomit yourself just by punching you. There's ways to do this shit. It's just, I don't think a machine would do it. I'd have to look at...
A machine that, like, just points... Like, I guess if it hit the frequency or something like that, but I don't know.
Well, no, you have to hit them with it. It's like a taser. Because she touches everybody that it happens to with it.
I didn't think she touched the one girl, but...
No, she touched him.
Okay.
Yep, she touched
Anyway,
everyone.
it was a silly scene. But other than that, I mean, there are flaws I can pick at, and maybe this is a movie I'll kind of cool off on, kind of like I did with Man of Steel. But
no, I'm not gonna cool off on Man of Steel. I'll tell you that right now.
What's that?
I'm never gonna cool off Man of Steel. Fuck that movie.
I've cooled off.
Fuck that movie in the ass.
It's definitely been cooled off. But again, I like Kick-Ass 2. I like the characters in it. I especially like the group of Justice Forever, and I like the message it tries to send across.
I like the Justice Forever-ish a bit.
I'd watch a movie about them.
Yeah, so would I. It's more Jim Carrey. He would never do the movie, though.
Oh, no, he'll never do it. Again, it's a shame, because it's really not... Like, there's some violent stuff in the movie, but it's not...
Oh, there's a fuck ton of violent stuff in this movie.
Yeah, but it's not, like, uncomfortable violence, per se. Anytime where it seems like they're going to get into stuff that's too graphic, it's usually done in really quick cuts and not shown in the present tense. It's usually shown as something that happened back in, like, a flashback almost, or something like that. So you never really get, like...
The hanging the dad's jail cell, violent. Stabbing the guy in the throat in the car, violent. The propane cop scene, completely violent. Overblown violence. The possible...
Yeah, but it's not like close-ups on these guys beginning. Like, the propane thing, you just see the car explode and the guys fly out. So.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I honestly, I did not have a problem with explosions in this movie, because I went into this movie knowing, like, this is just going to be dumb.
Yeah.
So I didn't nitpick the shit out of that, but yeah, I don't know. To me, this movie is violence just to have violence. But the whole thing where Hit Girl beats the shit out of Mother Russia was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Just all she did was stab her repeatedly with shards of glass.
Fucked her up. Off-topic thing.
Sure.
I just want to know, we got a trailer for Carrie.
Haven't gotten a trailer for it. And?
I guess they're just going under the assumption everyone knows already what happens in Carrie, because they spoil the whole fucking movie in the trailer. They spoil everything that happens in the prom scene. Everything.
Well, the original trailer did too.
But I mean, everything in it.
Oh, as far as
to dropping the blood on her.
Well, that's
to
in the
psychic attacks, to her going out after the psychic attacks and going in a rampage. They spoil all of that.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what the fuck the movie is at this point, because it's like, I've seen the trailer, I've seen Carrie the movie.
I know. I think most people have seen the movie. I am 100% happy if they just make a shot-for-shot remake of that movie. I know they're not going to. I hope they just alter a little bit, because I like the original, and I'd like to see an updated version of it. That's it. That's all I want is an update. I don't want a overblown theatrical piece of shit that most people do with horror movies these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one trailer I got, Chris. I don't know if did you get it yet? Vampire Academy.
No, I did not get Vampire
Oh
Academy.
God, you gotta see Vampire Academy,
The
man.
most far out movie I got a trailer for was for that 300 sequel, which is
I
really bad.
I haven't even seen that one.
I've gotten it like twice. I think I got it here at Man of Steel.
You got we're definitely doing Vampire Academy. But let's
Yay.
see. Box office this week. Kick-Ass is doing currently domestic 13 of its 28 million dollar budget. So it's on par to make its money back. It probably will in the next 2 weeks. So it's doing all right. But The Butler is kicking its ass. It's kicking everybody.
I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. I mean, I should have expected that the movie with Oprah Winfrey would get a fuck ton of money. It's one of those things where I'm just like,
That one's currently 25 of its
with
30
like Robin
million.
Williams as Dwight Eisenhower.
Steve Jobs is 6 million of its 12. And Paranoia is abysmal 3.5 of its $35 million budget. Yeah, that
Well,
was
probably. I bet it's gonna jump right up though.
sure. The Smurfs 2 is tanking, thankfully.
Well, shouldn't
Still.
that have like tanked? Period.
Yeah, that's.
I was like, isn't that
it's,
over
it's,
by this point?
It's
Isn't, like-
on week 3. It's been removed from 1,518 of its 2,000 plus theater counts, and it's only made for domestic only here, by the way, 60 or 56 of its 105 in
I was
3
gonna
weeks.
say that sounds like one of those movies they spend a fuck ton of money making.
Yeah. It's just weird that this week that we have these lower budget movies, you know.
That's what I said.
30,
I was,
28,
like,
12, and
surprised.
35.
I was pleasantly surprised when you said Kick-Ass had like an under $50 million budget. I was like,
Mhm.
they got some really cool effects in that movie for being relatively cheaply done.
And Jim Carrey's not cheap.
No, he's not. I mean, granted, I'm sure they didn't have to use him for too long. I'm sure they probably shot all of his scenes in like a month, but
Oh yeah, I guarantee that's how when he did this movie, he had no idea what's going in or what it's about because he's not a part of any violent scenes.
he
Other
has the
than
one scene, where,
that's
but
what's
that's
upset.
the heroic one where they're
Yeah.
they're fighting against a sex trafficking ring.
Yep, and all the other scenes take place without his character, and I legitimately believe him when he says he didn't know going into this movie that that's what it was about. Because I
Oh,
guarantee
sure.
he did not read the fucking
Oh,
source material.
I'm sure he was just like, I'm getting a lot of money for Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass?
Kick,
Kick-Ass 2?
well, it's got a hyphen, so it's got to be kick ass. Really? They can say that in theater, or they can have that as the trailer or
Maybe
a name.
it's German. Kick-Ass. Probably means something. I don't know.
Fuck it, they're giving me $35 million.
They're like, hold on, they're putting another dump truck full of money into my lawn. I guess I'll do it.
Oh, I play a guy that doesn't use guns and just uses a baseball bat. Oh, totally in.
Yeah, I guess that was the reason why I did it before, is this character didn't use guns.
Yeah,
And
he's
then when he saw
100%
it,
against
he was
guns.
just
Yeah,
like, ooh.
yeah, he is.
I mean, I'm fine with him having his opinion that way.
Yeah, totally.
He, I just hope
He didn't. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just hope that when he gets the money, he puts it towards a charity of some kind. Because if you're,
he
this
already
is
does that.
What's that?
He already does that
Okay.
with a lot of
'Cause
his
that's, like, if
budget.
it's one of those things where he's going to be like, I think this movie was too violent, and then you're just like, but I'm going to take all the money.
I'm not
I
going to make a
from
profit
doing it.
off of it. Yeah.
Yeah, then you're Katherine Heigl and you're a bitch. So.
But I do think. Oh fuck! I forgot my train of thought, Chris. God damn it! What were we just talking about? I don't have a problem with him, not liking this movie either, because he didn't. He's the only statement he made about the movie, as far as what my research can tell me. The Huffington Post and a couple other things on this. Say he just made the one statement saying he won't do it or promote it because of this reason, and that's that. And he brings up that scene, and that's it. He doesn't, pick at
He's
the
not like,
movie.
this is a shitty movie, this is
Yeah.
an awful movie, no one should see it. He's just like, I'm not going to go out there and promote it, which is fine.
Yep.
He has every right to be like that.
No, I mean, yeah, some actors just could be a complete dick about it and just talk shit about the whole movie or something like that. No, he's not.
Katherine Heigl.
What movie did she bitch about?
Oh, fucking Knocked Up. She bitched about how it was derogatory towards women and
Oh,
made
it is
women.
though.
No, it doesn't. They were like, oh, it makes women look like all stuffy, no fun, piece of
Well,
shit. And I
a
was like,
lot
well,
of movies
I'm
do
sorry,
that.
I'm sure you collected the $150 million check you got for doing a goddamn movie without bitching. Fuck Katherine Heigl.
She's got nice knockers though.
Oh, fuck her. I can see great tits on the internet.
I don't care. But yeah, as I'm gonna keep saying, not worth it for me. Probably worth it for everybody else. I'll accept it. I'm not gonna bitch at you if you like the movie. I'm just gonna.
We'd still be friends after this, Randy?
Sure. I'm just gonna look at you a little bit lower though.
Alright.
So pretty much no change.
Yeah. I assume so. I'm pretty low as it is.
Yeah. No, Chris. But yeah, I think that's gonna be do it for this week. Next week we have The World's End, which is going to be awesome.
Hopefully. I'm really not excited for it.
Why?
The trailers, I'll have to go and try to find the Hot Fuzz trailer, but the trailers just aren't funny. Like, maybe, I don't remember the trailers for Hot Fuzz maybe being particularly funny, and maybe it's just one of those things that all the good scenes are just in the movie, and the trailer's just there to be like, we'll just use this solely for the instant, focus group scenes, and we know we'll get those outside people to see it, but the trailers just aren't funny to me.
Mm-hmm. Santa Kitty, if you like the first one, you'll more than likely like this one. Because it's basically the same movie again, just overblown, in my mind. Chris has different opinions, I think.
Mhm.
But, like I said, I'm not a fan of it. Chris gave it an A-. I'm giving it a C-.
You've lowered your grade. It was a solid C.
So, it's a solid C? Okay, solid C. Sorry. I don't write them down until after the show.
I was like, are you just lowering it to be more counter to me?
No. Yeah, it all depends. If you like Kick-Ass 1, I liked Kick-Ass 1, but I don't like this movie. Not going to continue harping. If you actually want to find out what we thought about it, this will be highlighted again really, really soon and be up for viewings. But, yeah, we'll be doing The World's End 100% next Sunday at 6:30. Chris, do you want to do Borderlands?
We could do a little Borderlands.
Do a little bit of Borderlands?
A little bit.
Okay. So, everybody, we'll see you in the next 10 to 15 minutes for Co-op or Die Borderlands 2. Hope you guys have a great day. When I was a kid, there was nothing like that.
Yeah. It's just one of those things you're just like, this just feels too weird for me to buy into this. But I like the story they try to tell with Hit Girl. Honestly, I feel like
it goes nowhere.
They could take most
mind.
of the Hit Girl story out, and this movie would probably be better for it. But I think they were kind of... I haven't read Kick-Ass 2. I've only just started reading Kick-Ass 1. So I don't know how Kick-Ass 2 and this follow directly. But it feels like they were trying to follow basically the plot of the comics a little too closely. And I feel like the movie might have been better if it pulled the Hit Girl stuff out and maybe focused a bit more on establishing the relationship between Kick-Ass and Captain Stars and Stripes and the rest of Justice Forever, as opposed to putting time in for her story.
They really underutilize Jim Carrey in this movie.
Yeah. We can't get too much into it without getting into some spoilers, but yeah. He's
well, that's why I kept it right there. That's it. They underutilize him. He doesn't do a whole lot.
He doesn't get to be as impressive as you'd hope he would be.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't play a character you think Jim Carrey would play, in my mind. He's not playing, the normal goofy Jim Carrey type of character. I know he does some dramatic roles and shit like that, but I just didn't see him as this role. Outside of one line, which you've all already seen.
There goes the dog on your balls. Yeah.
That's the only part that you're looking at going, okay, that Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, no. He's he plays this pretty straight, I think.
Yeah.
So it was a slight disappointment, just overly silly and violent just for the sake of violence. I did not feel for this movie. I mean, if you liked the first one and you wanted more of what happened in the first one, you'll probably love this movie. You know, I'm not gonna look down at the people who would like this movie. I don't care. It's just not my cup of tea.
I sincerely dug this movie. I don't like it as good as the first Kick-Ass, but I still found a lot of the same things I liked in the first Kick-Ass are present here. Um, I do think that this is a darker movie than the first Kick-Ass, but it's somewhat necessary based on the fact that it's trying to tell. Basically, this is the second act of an ongoing story, and the second act is usually the darkest act in a series because that's when the tragedy has to befall the main character. So, I mean, not to get into spoilers, but bad things happen to Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, and those around them. And, you know, that's them dealing with the consequences of trying to create a superhero world in a world that, you know, is normal society.
They try to make it darker, and it does have a couple of darker scenes in it, but it's surrounded by just stupid shit that take away from it for me.
I didn't find as much stupid shit. There's only one point in the movie where 2 points.
Everything that happens with Hit Girl up until the end is stupid shit.
I liked the premise of Hit Girl's side story. I did not like how it was actually done in the movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
That was because it's weird. The movie
Retweet. We're live, by the way, but
excellent.
I don't care. Yes, you hear voices, Scott. Okay. This week we saw Kick-Ass 2.
Yes, we did.
Chris, go ahead and do your rundown.
All right. So, essentially, if you haven't seen the first Kick-Ass, to sum it up very quickly, it's a movie about a boy who reads comic books. It's set in modern-day society. So it is a superhero movie, but it's just a regular sort of
It's a realistic-ish.
Yeah. And a young boy who's a comic book fan decides he wants to do good in the world, dresses up to be a superhero, meets up with another girl who is also a superhero, and together they fight crime and manage to show that regular people can become superheroes. And that's essentially Kick-Ass 1.
Sure.
Kick-Ass 2 continues the story with those characters. However, it then kind of focuses on a new aspect of the story that to say humans do become superheroes, that regular citizens become it, how do they deal with the ramifications and responsibilities that come with being a superhero, that come with having sort of this ego, that come with having this mission of justice, that come with creating enemies and creating a presence for yourself that is independent of the police. How do you deal with all those things and struggle with, you know, what side of the coin, your mask side or your human side are you really, you know, what are you, Bruce Wayne or are you Batman, that sort of thing. And that's essentially the story in this one. Kick-Ass joins up. More people are inspired to become superheroes based off of his actions in the first one, including Colonel Stars and Stripes, played by Jim Carrey. And his actions in the first, inspired by comic book, or a movie based on a comic book that is inspired by other comic books, managed to create a character too comic booky for me to believe. Like, she was, like, it basically involves this high school girl who is so, like, insidiously super catty, bitchy high school that I couldn't possibly fathom someone like that existing in the real world. Like, I can understand someone like Kick-Ass existing in the real world. A kid who really wants to see justice done in the world, who is directionless and wants to see someone rise up and do good, deciding to go out there and do it. But this girl who's just so, like, vindictive and evil, and does like this long speech about how she's gonna one day grow up and marry a hot guy and vacation in Paris, is fucking her, you know, fucking all these other things. It's just weird.
The boy, okay, there's one scene, this isn't spoilers, but I'll just call it the, no, I actually am not going to say that because it does set something up. Never mind, wait till spoilers and I'll bring it up. I was going to go the whole boyfriend thing.
Oh. Yeah.
Which does set up a spoiler, so I'll bring that up in the spoiler segment, I guess. But they did that okay. Because I believe him doing that, because that shit happens.
Yeah.
But as far as the female a part of this whole thing, just, yeah, she was overblown.
Like, I get her in concept.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mean girls do exist, and yeah, maybe I just, you know, coming from a Catholic high school, maybe I just don't understand the of which that girls are kind of super bitches in other schools, but
not in my school.
This movie also created the world's first supervillain, Motherfucker, played by what's his name?
Some douchey kid.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse plays the kid from Superbad.
Yep.
So that's a basic rundown of Kick-Ass 2 without getting into spoilers.
Yeah, and this movie does not come without heat either because Jim Carrey didn't promote this movie at all. Uh, After he saw the screening of it, he immediately pulled his backing from this movie. Uh, Due to he recorded this movie before the what is it, Shady Hook,
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook shootings,
Hmm.
and he saw it just after the shootings, and there's this one scene in it, mild spoilers. It's not really going to give anything away, but there's one character named Mother Russia is throwing propane tanks at cops, or killing cops, and that's the scene that literally made him stop promoting this movie. So this movie does come with its little bit of controversy. We'll probably get into if it's valid or not in the let's spoil the shit out of this movie segment of this show. But I didn't have fun with this movie. I didn't think it. I don't think it had the charm that the first one did. I'm not gonna side with Jim Carrey on it, but I do think it was